All right, we're live. This is the Irs After Party, and you're probably going to be hearing some weird noise in a little bit. Because
Because Josh just likes to really make weird noises.
there's dog walking going on. So dog will
Ooh.
be returning.
It's
Very excited.
late for some dog walking.
Yeah, we're in a pretty safe neighborhood, so as long as you're in the there's a specific spot to stay in, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Luckily, we're not quite super bad area. Anyhow, I had a crazy day, but let's I guess we should let people know what this is. So this is the after party where Cory, Kerr, and I hang out after we do our reviews that are up on irsagency.com, which you guys should check out. We're not the IRS. We are the indie review show. And so definitely check that out. We just reviewed Krazy and Ignatz, 1925 to 1926. The released they basically do yearly reprints of the of each year of Krazy Cat through Fantagraphics, and so we just finished that, and now we're hanging out. So yeah, I had a crazy day. How was your day? Hey Gary, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. Nothing abnormal, but just a lot of running around.
Yeah, so today was chaos for me.
Yeah.
So you did running around. I want to hear your running around story.
Oh, it's not as interesting, I'm sure. It's just we're still getting used to 3 kids. 3 kids is a lot.
Yeah.
So, I think we did our 6-week postpartum baby appointment, and then also some shopping and stuff, because we have to go about 30 miles outside of town to get to a store that doesn't charge ridiculous amounts of money for groceries. And so we go in every once in a while to do that. And anyway,
I never even thought about so there aren't a ton of grocery stores then in your area, I would imagine.
I mean, yeah, like a Costco or a Food for Less or something like that. There's nothing like that. And so we've got 2 locally owned. Well, we've got 1 locally owned grocery store, and then there's the food section of Walmart and an Albertsons, but all 3 of those are fairly expensive.
Got it. Yeah, Walmart way overcharges for groceries. Plus, the groceries are probably changing into other beings while they're in there.
Yeah,
but not that I'm above Walmart, because
oh yeah, Walmart's great. I'm glad we have one in our community, but it's different.
I mean, I'm not a fan of what they're like as employers, but I also am not a really wealthy dude, and so every once in a while, Walmart's just gonna have something. Today would be a good example. So I am gonna piss off all the bike people out there today. I bought a bike at Walmart, and so all the bike folks, all the hipsters are just gonna hate me. And I can just see it, because there are some bikers in our area who they put on the whole regalia and stuff, the bike outfits, and they're really into it. Because there's some really good areas that you can bike, especially towards Santa Clarita. Some great and then the crazy bikers love Angeles Crest, which is not super far from here. So they'll do that and then fly off a cliff every once in a while. But anyhow, well, because it's crazy. It's it's just Angeles Crest is one of those freeways that it's not even a freeway. It's a pass through the Angeles forest. And it is they shoot car commercials there because it's just windy and nuts.
Uh-huh.
But it's I could cut my commute by 30 minutes by driving it, but I don't, because every week you read a story about it, just a car flying off of it.
Oh,
because
wow.
it's so windy, and then people drive stupid on it. So you're dealing with people riding you when you're dude, I'm going 50 and it's 30, and you're going 80. And like, you're not going to make that turn, dude. Like,
oh, geez.
yeah, it's nuts. So anyhow, but there's a bunch of bikers that like doing that too. And then they'll be on the road with those crazy cars. Those people will be making fun of my purchase at Walmart.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so got a bike finally, go there to pick it up, do the COVID thing to pick it up. Luckily, Ben wasn't with us. He was at home with the aunt. And usually like what they do during COVID is like they'll take out your order, especially if it's an order from online. They have it in their warehouse a lot of the time. They're just going to like bring it out. Like you like pull up to the station, you put in a number, and then like they're going to bring out your order, right? If this is boring, by the way, let me know.
No, that's good.
Okay. But so we pull up, we put in the number on the phone. We've done this before for like small things. We don't shop a lot at Walmart, but it'll be like something like if there is something we're going to pick up, we bite the bullet, you know, our liberal selves like bite the bullet and buy the Chinese products, you know, like whatever. Right. Anyhow, so but when we've done it before, it takes like 10, 15 minutes. This time we get there to even pull up to like the parking lot that you're supposed to put in the app that they'll bring out like the number. And there is a massive line of like 40 cars just waiting to get in those spaces. We're like, what? So we kind of wait there. It takes like 30 minutes. We finally get in the space. Keep in mind, we're in the Antelope Valley. So it's like, you know, easily like close to 100 degrees out.
Yeah.
Sitting in a car in a line with like no shade, like not moving. AC's running at this point, but it's like once we park, like if we leave the AC running with just a battery, like your battery's going to die like that, like in that kind of heat.
Yeah.
So we have to like turn the AC off. We're waiting and we end up waiting 2 hours. 2 hours just sitting
for the online pickup,
for just the pickup.
That's crazy.
So then we finally get all the stuff. And like I got a bike rack too. We used to have one because I used to bike everywhere, like all throughout college, like after college. I just was like a biker because I was like a guy who like, I wasn't a biker who was like really into it. I was doing it out of necessity. Like it just got me from point A to point B and it was cheap. But like, so we used to have a lot of this stuff, but amid a lot of moves and stuff, we don't have a bike rack anymore. So we got a bike rack for the car. Yeah. And we ordered it in the same order so that like the pickup would go easily. Cause we're going to need the bike rack anyway, set up the bike rack there, then like get out of there. So then I'm trying to undo the bike rack and like, it has those zip ties and I don't have like a knife or scissors with me. So I'm like, crap. And like, those things do not come apart with like keys or anything like that. Right.
Right.
So then I have to wait like 20 minutes for like, and I keep asking people as they're coming by, like giving other cars orders that have all waited like 2 hours for their products. I'm like, hey, do you have like a pair of scissors? And then like a manager comes up and is like, I'm sorry, we just can't give scissors to a customer. And I'm like, finally, I just go to a warehouse guy who like I see just kind of hanging out there. And I'm like, look, dude, we've been here for 2 hours. I used to work in warehouses, like in a shipping and receiving dock. I know you have like a box cutter. Could you please just come out here with a box cutter and cut these zip ties so we can set this up, put the bike on our car and get out of here, please? And the guy was like, yes. So finally it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes later, and we finally get to leave. And by that point, we're just like beat. Now, keep in mind, before that, we spent all day driving to Los Angeles in crazy LA traffic and like high heat, like going to different comic shops, like to try to, like we're doing this whole exploring all the comic shops in California thing.
Right.
And so we've gotten past Burbank and now we're in the nightmare territory. Like this, like the closer you get to downtown LA, the more it becomes a scenario where, like where I live, if something's like a mile and a half away or like 5 miles away, it's like not a drive. Like that's a joke, right? Like you get there very quickly. In LA, if it's a mile and a half away, that's going to be 40 minutes to an hour just to get like a mile and a half. It's crazy. Anyhow, like, so and anytime I drive in Los Angeles, like I'm sorry to my peeps in Los Angeles, because I have friends who live there and it's great. You're close to all these great locations. But anytime I'm driving down there, I'm like so thankful I don't live there, because it would take like 10 years to get groceries. Like it literally, like, just to park to get your groceries would take like an hour and a half. Anyhow, so we did that all day and then did the Walmart pickup, and which was supposed to be like 20 minutes. And yeah, so that was the chaos. It's all like stupid, like non-serious problems, right? Like there are people out there like dying of COVID, you know, like I'm not there's a lot of people out there with like really real problems. But it was just like a massively irritating day. Like, and it was just one of those days where everything that was supposed to take like 1 minute took like 10 hours, you know?
Yeah.
So, but to me, that's as interesting. Like, I think your story is probably similar.
I did that recently where I went into, but I just walked in to Walmart.
Yeah.
After they didn't have it ready to go when they said, I just walked in there and I found the part of this is, you can probably do this in Idaho and not do this in California, but I just found where they're loading everything up. And I just walked up and I was like, hey, you know, do you have this order? And they were like, and it was like, people are running around. They're like going nuts, like trying to get out. And I feel bad for them because they have so much to do.
Yeah.
And it's so, I mean, they're basically running like a fulfillment center.
Yeah.
But it's not like an optimized warehouse. It's a store.
Yeah.
And so it's the worst way to do a fulfillment center.
And meanwhile, half the people doing the fulfillment are getting like calls on their, you know, walkie-talkie, like so-and-so needs help on aisle 3. And like, and they're always notoriously like really understaffed because they treat their employees like crap. So it's like, it's a no-win situation, like for those employees. I would have probably pressed harder. It's just that they had like, I mean, it was close by the time we had waited, like finished waiting, there were at least 50 people waiting.
Oh, geez.
You know, so it was like,
there's not 50 people that live in my town. So it's a different story.
Yeah. It was shocking to me. It made sense because I think what had happened, usually it's a very steady stream, but I think that somebody botched it with because like you also start, like, one thing that's fun about that scenario is you kind of see just like how these sort of disasters happen, like on a corporate level, because it's like I could see like the supervisor, the lower shift, I think probably the shift supervisor, like come out with like a checklist and like reconfirm everybody's orders because she's trying to make sure like everything was input correctly in their system.
Right.
And then finally I saw like their supervisor come out and do the same thing. And I realized like whoever did the inputs, right? Whoever's running the flowing like inputs for what needs to be fulfilled, like botched it. Right. So what was coming in, like the list was wrong. And so it was just chaos from there, you know, like that's what I'm guessing.
Right.
So but I felt sympathy for everybody there.
We got some questions in the chat here.
Oh yeah.
So Frank is asking, were you just holding up a green paper for Chroma King? Let me show you actually. It's not a green paper. We have a little cheat file here. Probably this isn't groundbreaking for anyone, but like I just have a hand, and then Josh, do you even use this hand sometimes? Or you use your
not as often, because what I do is just shoot new photos.
Oh, okay.
Like it's easier for me to mask out, but having that hand, I have used that hand.
Yeah,
it's great. You guys might notice every once in a while, if you pay close attention to those thumbnails, I might have Cory's hand. I still think one of these ones, especially if we do a sci-fi, it should just be like a tentacle hand.
Oh yeah, I have one of those that I drew for the 100 Days Anthology Volume 2.
Yeah, we should do it. We should do that.
Yeah.
Oh, so man, I have to tell you other stories, but I want to hear your stuff for the day because I don't want to occupy the whole conversation, you know?
Oh, yeah, nothing nothing crazy. He's just normal. I don't know, like.
Well, how are you guys juggling like the three? I mean, that's chaos, man.
I don't know that we are really well. Like it's just they outnumber you. And then so we have to like take two cars because we had like a doctor's appointment in the middle of a work day. So like I can't spend all day in Idaho Falls, but then Malia's gotta do the shopping and everything. And so we take two cars, we're trading kids around, doing whatever. Our 11-year-old is watching our 2-year-old while our 6-week-old is in with the doctor, and then the 2-year-old starts like opening apps and deleting apps and moving apps around on my wife's phone.
Oh,
And
lovely.
so Scarlett's like, trying to stop him from doing that. And so he gets very frustrated very easily, but his frustration usually isn't yelling. It's usually how would you describe that? It's usually like very intentionally like physically destructive. Like but it's not like a rage, like I'm going to hit anything I possibly can. Like he calculates like what's the most damage I can do right now to show that I'm upset. And so he threw the phone on the ground and then stomped on it. And so like he was like, yeah, this is the most expensive thing near me. So then she's trying to, she's trying to pick the phone up, and she's trying to call us or send us a text because we're both in with the doctor. So she's going to take him out. And then two of the three kids are just in the parking lot of the doctor's office. And she's just trying to, because he started, once she started like physically restraining him so that he doesn't like throw the phone at someone else in the lobby or whatever, he gets upset. So he starts yelling. So she drags him out. And anyway, and she's not an adult. So, so she's a little frazzled as well and trying to, anyway, it was pretty nuts. So we're getting all these frantic calls and everything. Yeah, so that was one. And then
chaos, Cory.
Total chaos.
That's our theme for the day.
That's the theme. I'm trying to figure out where this is going. Yeah, so that was one thing. And then, Malia got in a car accident yesterday.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, just we're so sick of it. Like, she got hit at an intersection about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, didn't this just like literally just happen?
Yep. Yeah. So I saved up a little bit of money, and every time I do this, like we don't like we do pretty okay, but like we never have like a lot in the bank. We're kind of, I wouldn't say we're living paycheck to paycheck, but kind of, because we're saving for retirement and all that stuff. So anyway, we got a little bit saved up, and I was like, oh, maybe we could put some concrete in the backyard or build a fence so the kids can play back there or something. And right as I started saying that, old Murphy heard that and decided now's a good time for this car that has worked perfectly fine for years and years and years to stop working all of a sudden. So our van died. So then we had to we bought a car. We bought a car. Literally 3 days later, she gets hit, like sideswiped in that car.
Jeez.
And so she gets whiplash and all that stuff. And so anyway, so she's been going to the chiropractor forever and finally gets all that sorted out and everything. But the insurance hasn't quite finished anything. They're still doing their stupid insurance crap that they do. That takes forever. And so anyway, so that's been taking forever. And it's like the other guy's insurance is fine. It's our insurance that's like people that are in charge of the case keep like quitting or disappearing, or it's just really bad timing. So anyway, long story short, that hasn't been resolved yet. And this is like the first time Malia takes the baby out. So Roz and Malia are out, and this guy is on his phone and isn't paying attention and has a green light but not a green arrow. And so Malia is going straight, and he should have waited, but just wasn't paying attention, so he turned right in front of her. And so she hit him, but it was his fault, right? And that's what the police report says and everything.
Oh
luckily.
my goodness.
So anyway, so then she calls me and she's like, I just got hit. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was our other car.
So oh my gosh.
Right. So, and it was probably good that it was in the other car because the other car is an SUV. And so, you know, it can take it a little bit better than the Accord. So
was it like high speed? Is everybody okay?
Everybody seems fine. Yeah, he was a really nice guy, and both times we were very lucky in that you know, both people were like, oh, this is totally my fault, and like said that to the police officers. So nobody was trying to be weird about it or anything. And
that's good. That's definitely not Californian.
No, I really do like Idaho for a number of reasons. But one of them is, you know, people just kind of tends to be a little less litigious.
Yeah, I feel like and maybe this happened to you, I'm kind of curious, but like I feel like if I were to move somewhere like that, I would be so like disastrously like suspicious of people and like mistrusting. You know, I'd go to like the grocery store and somebody'd be like, hi, how you doing? And I'd be like, I'm fine. Why are you asking? Like, what is wrong with you? What do you want from me? What are you trying to sell? You know, like right. I definitely think there is like a weird thing. It doesn't happen quite to the extent I think as it does in like New York, you know, where like New York, right. If you like in LA, you know, if you were to ask somebody like, hey, what's the time? They'd be like, oh, well, it's like 5, you know, they,
right.
Most people aren't going to be like, what's your problem, man? You know, like,
right, yeah.
Whereas I think in New York, even like stopping on somebody on the street and being like, hey, I'm looking for this bookstore or whatever. Like, they'd just be like, oh, and walk on, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like that would be a learning curve. I don't know if it was for you. Like, that would be a big learning curve for me.
I went to college in this town as well, so
okay.
I kind of got a little taste of it when I was in my early 20s before I moved back as an adult. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely very, very different than a lot of people are used to. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like, I'm trying to be vague on who this is, but I was talking to somebody, and they were like. Well, it's because you live in Idaho. They were saying all this negative stuff about Idaho, and I'm like, yeah, you can keep thinking that it sucks here because I don't want you to move here. You know, like I don't want people to know that like the land is incredibly cheap and that I have like 3 different state parks surrounding, like bordering, you know, the town that I live in.
Yeah.
I'm not super interested in it getting like overrun, you know? So
yeah, for sure. I mean, and you know, I think, there's benefits and withdrawals to everything. Like I said, like when I went to LA, I definitely know the benefits of living in LA. Like job wise, perfect. Like for creative.
Oh yeah.
If you got laid off and you're living in LA, the likelihood of you getting another job like very quickly is very, very simple. Like it's not that it's not like they're handing out creative jobs, but it's just like
it's just a lot of people there.
Yeah, and there's huge industry perks to living there because, you know, if you go to a restaurant, the chances of being able to network, and I mean like real networking, not the like, oh, hey, like hook me up, but just get to know people who actually are connected, is way higher because everybody works in industry who works there, right. Or they're an aspiring screenwriter, like, you know, everybody's an aspiring screenwriter there too. But right. But yeah, but the negative is like it takes like an hour and a half to like just drive like a block to get groceries, you know.
Yeah, so, the nice thing about where I live is if it's a certain number of miles away,
yeah,
that's the number of minutes it takes to get there.
Yeah, and that's generally the neck of the woods in California that I live in. Like other than my commute to work, but like if my family's just out about town here, like it's not hard to drive anywhere. You know, it's not hard to find parking. It's nice. So there's benefits and negatives of, I think, everywhere. Dude, that's crazy. So, Another accident. That's insane. I still
Yeah.
can't believe that. And here I was talking about chaos.
Yeah, and that was like, oh, I wasn't even telling the whole story.
Oh,
So,
wait. Before we get into that, I do want to just acknowledge, like Adam was saying, he didn't chime in, but the crazy cat review was great. Thank you,
good.
Adam. That's awesome. And then he also said his comic Zygmunt and Zagmont for Life in Space was totally influenced by Herriman, and I would agree. It's in the Life in Space anthology, and it does have Herriman vibes.
Cool.
And that's I think that's it. Okay, so let's go back to where you were going.
Okay, so there's this girls' camp that my church does. And once you turn 11, you can start going to girls' camp once a year. It's just kind of in the summer and whatever. So Scarlett has been super excited to go. So she goes, and then she's there for a couple days. It's her first kind of overnighter with, whatever. And so it's at this little camp, and they do different things, and and then I get a call at work, and Malia says, everyone at camp is sick. And I said, what do you mean? The whole camp. Somebody brought their sick baby. One of the adults brought their sick baby and infected literally everyone. And it must have been hyper contagious because within like 12 hours, everyone was vomiting. All the girls, all the adult leaders, like everyone. And so then we've got a 6-week-old and a 2-year-old. And then, like Malia can't get sick and I can't get sick right now. And so we're like, oh no. So anyway, so Scarlett comes home. And so I like drag a TV down into her room. We're like just locking her in there. And I'm like, put a mask on and gloves to like open the door and give her like food and then shut the door. And so she was like locked in her room for like a couple days as we were kind of trying to keep everybody from not getting sick. But like, she was just waking up from like getting home, and I had just put Maddox down for a nap, and that's when Malia called and said, "Hey." So I'm like, okay, so it's 4 miles away, and so Maddox had just gotten up from his nap, and so I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? So I put 2 cameras on Maddox, and I had him pulled up on my phone, and my 11-year-old is technically in the house, and she's old enough to babysit, but she's like locked in a room. So I've got both of these not webcams, but both of these security cameras pointed at Maddox. I turned on a show for him. I've got him on my phone so I can hear what's going on, and at like stoplights, I'm like checking and whatever. And so like, as I was going out to talk to the police, that were on the site and like help pick up pieces of my car and make sure that my infant and my wife are okay.
Oh, so was the car like totaled, or it was just like
I think the front end is going to have to be completely redone.
Like so
it's
bad.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it was like a low enough impact to where I don't think anybody was injured, but the car took a big, I mean, the front right panel, the front panel, possibly the hood.
Jeez.
Those are all done. So they've all got so
brutal.
But anyway, so the whole time that I'm talking to the cops, I've got my 2-year-old on my phone that I can look at, so I'm like watching him to make sure that he's still sitting on the couch. I was only gone for like, 15 minutes. And I had we have like, my daughter doesn't have a cell phone, but we have like an extra phone that I lend her when she babysits or does whatever. So I kind of like,
I'm sorry, Frank's comment. He said, did the police ask, sir, why is your 11-year-old locked in the basement?
Actually, she was in the basement. So it was a precarious situation. My infant had just been in a car accident, and my daughter was vomiting in her room, and my 2-year-old was watching TV while being surveilled by 2 cameras. And then I was like, speeding out there. So Anyway, so that was yesterday afternoon. So it was kind of nuts.
That's insanity, Cory.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That makes me not want to mention my other 2 stories from today.
Oh, sorry. No, tell them. I'm sure they're amazing.
Okay, so one of them is just annoying. Okay, so I stopped by 4 comic shops, right? Most of the shops, I had no luck like meeting with the managers, which actually makes sense because usually I do these things on a Saturday. This is a Monday, and like barely any store owners are there on a Monday. Mm-hmm. And on a plus side, like this from my hometown, Pulp Fiction in Long Beach, it sounds like they want to set up a store signing, which is kind of cool because I didn't actually, I didn't reach out to them. They followed me on Instagram, and then I reached out to them. But
that's very cool.
I was just like, hey, now that you just followed me, you want to do a signing thing? And they're like, we'd love to. And I was like, sweet, that's my hometown. But anyhow, so we do all these different stores. They're all polite. They're great. I get all the contact info for like who to talk to about carrying the books. And the last store, and I'm not going to mention what store it is because I might still go through the process to get a book in there. But it's like a hipster store that sells like underground and indie comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go there, and like the person working the register is so intentionally just off base rude to me that my sister-in-law was like, I think she was rude to you because you're a guy and you're white.
Oh, interesting.
Because I was like really polite and showed my book and stuff, and she kind of did this like, no. It was like completely rude to me. But then like when my wife would talk to her, she's just like, oh, hi. Yeah, I'll help you. And with my son, she's like super nice. Oh, and then I'd come by and just be like, anything I would say, she'd just be like, like just this terrible attitude, like total indie snob. That was shocking to me. And it shouldn't be, because I used to live in Portland, Oregon. And that is like, par for the course in Portland. But it was a little weird to get the hipster snob the weird hipster snobbery it was just very strange to get that. Considering I've gone to like quite a few hipster shops and they're always approachable, it's just the most shocking thing to me. I don't know. So that's a little bit of a myth. So that was one. Not quite a car accident with children throwing up. That's chaos. Chaos.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was it. That was all my material.
Yeah. So that's how I'm doing with 3 kids.
That's chaos.
It really is just, like all the things that can go wrong with one kid is just 3 times as likely. So, but yeah, the comic book thing, man. I went to the only comic book store around and today, and I because I had this thought, and I was like, Josh is going to all these stores and I've just got these stickers sitting here, and so anyway, so I went by, and because I talked to the owner before, and he's a cool dude, and he's like developing a video game and whatnot. Anyway, he wasn't there today, but it's like they got to get some comics in that store. They've got some, but it's like I think he's running it on. He just bought it, and so it's a slim pickings right now as he kind of bulks up and gets it ready. But it's a cool store. It's really clean. It's way cleaner now that he bought it. Like he bought it from these other guys.
Nice.
And it was like super run down for years and years and years. And I would go in there and it was like, but now I go in there and I'm like, oh, I can breathe, and it feels nice and it looks nice. And he's got all this cool stuff. And so I'm kind of excited for that to like continue to get better and better and better. Where did I just put that? There we go.
Dude, that's awesome. Okay. I feel like I got all the chaos out. So I also okay. Oh, I should follow up with this because I've been trying to be kind of public with the whole like autism thing. So I had my first assessment appointment today, and I spoke for about 10 seconds to a therapist for some reason, which doesn't make sense. They should have given me a psychologist who specializes in autism, but instead they sent me to a therapist who within 30 seconds of talking was like, I have no idea why when you're going for an autism diagnosis, they wouldn't just book you with an autism specialist. And so, so then they were like, well, okay, we'll get this corrected. I'll get you an appointment with the person who does autism assessments. And then and they were like, I'll call back in like 2 hours. And anybody who's dealt with like insurance companies, just as an example, it's taken me about 6 months to get to this point. So when I hear something from anyone, and no besmirching them or anything, but within this medical system saying like, oh, we'll give you an appointment I'll give you a call. We'll give you a call back with an appointment in 2 hours. I just take that as like, we're not going to do anything. And so I'm like, okay. And then I'm being kind of mistrusting and going like, are you sure like you're going to do it in 2 hours? Like, can I get your name? Can I get the name? Like I get everybody's names. And then of course, 7 hours later, nobody booked or called back. So I called, I mentioned the doctor they referred. And so I've got an appointment, and the earliest appointment is another month from now. So now we're at 7 months from the inception of, I wonder if I have autism. My son has a lot of these symptoms that I had. Everything I read, it seems like something I have. Yeah. I'd like to take an assessment. It's a simple process. There's an assessment that I can just take and see if I do. And calling, and then 7 months later, I might possibly start that process.
Oh, jeez.
So that was fun. But on a plus side, when I finally did get that bike and got it set up, and got on it, because I was feeling like the whole time, like this is a stupid purchase, like why do I want a bike? When am I going to bike? I was thinking of it as, and I don't know what you do, Cory, for workouts, but it's like
nothing right now.
Okay. So, well, I mean, with 3 kids, I think that is your workout.
I'll tell you a story right after this.
But for me, it's like my main workout is like the rowing machine and then free weights, right?
Yeah. And
I'm totally new to the working out thing, but the one thing I've noticed with the rowing machine is it's really good for upper body and for your heart. But I don't know like how much it really works your legs, weirdly enough, like a rowing machine. Yeah. Like you are working your legs, but it's not like a lot. And also every other day I'm not doing anything. And technically I think we're supposed to be doing like healthy stuff for our heart, like every day. Like I don't know what it's called, like cardiovascular exercises. I think we're supposed to do that like more frequently than every other day. So I was just thinking about it. I'm like, well, I could start jogging. And then I have like a million people I know who were like really big on running, and then they blow out their knees and have to have hip replacements and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So I was like, oh, but bikes are really easy on your knees. Like it's not like it's going to mess up your hips. Like unless you eat it on the bike, but it's like, it's a fairly, what is that called? Where it's like an exercise that doesn't cause like
low impact.
Low impact. There we go. So I thought about it, and I've been thinking about it for like months. And because I'm weird, I just obsessed about it and researched all these bikes, and I'm trying to find a good deal. And finally, I was just like, I'll just get a cheap starter bike that's not going to fall apart like in a week. And went with that. But the second I got on that bike, I was like, feeling the whole time just like, I don't know, maybe this is like a stupid purchase, maybe this is something I won't use. And the second I got on it and just went around the block, I was just instantly like, oh yeah, this is the right call. Because it's super fun. Like,
Yeah.
And keep in mind, it's not a motorcycle, but it's fun. It's fun, and I can feel the exercise while I'm doing it. But like, you don't even notice the exercise. It's actually kind of dangerous because you could probably go like a really long time without realizing you've worn yourself out. But it's fun, and I was just instantly like feeling like that is going to be my every other day thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just do like a quick 10 miles or something. I don't know. So yeah.
I saw you mention that somewhere, Facebook or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I should start riding my bike, because I got a bike a couple of years ago, and I was gonna be like, I'm gonna bike to work, and I would go. I was about a mile and a half from work, and so I could get in like 6 miles a day by like going to work and coming home for lunch, and then going to work and then coming home, right? And so I was like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it was great for about a week, and then I got hit by a car.
Oh my gosh! Like how?
Oh, I have been in 15 car accidents.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm baffled. I feel like you're very cursed, man, with cars. Because
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's not great. So anyway, so yeah, so I'm not super excited about the bike anymore, because then I was like, okay, well, that was kind of a fluke. So I was waiting I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow what they say. There's no bike lanes because it's Idaho, so you're just in traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, going to follow what they say and follow the rules, and I'm wearing the whatever. And so I'm heading to work, at like 7:45, which is when everybody else is going to work and school.
And what's weird is your work isn't like super far from your house. Like you work pretty close, right?
This was half a block from my house. It's the first intersection from my house. I was sitting at the red light waiting to turn left, and two girls were doing their makeup as they were driving to high school. And so they just hit me because I wasn't a car, and they were not looking because they were doing their makeup. And so like, I just got hit, and I was just, they moved me forward about 3 or 4 feet. It wasn't like a big deal, but it was like just jarring enough where I was like, holy crap, if they like ran this red light, they would have run right over me, So I look back, and they're like, freaking out. They've got a compact in one hand and a brush in the other hand or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so I just went to work. And then like a week later after that, I'm now like, you know what? I'm just going to ride on the sidewalk because I feel like the road is dangerous. I didn't realize that the sidewalk is worse. Now I know that, right? You're actually safer to be with traffic in the road than you are on the sidewalk. And so I'm riding on the sidewalk, and there's only one sidewalk on one side of the street. There's not a sidewalk on the other side of the street because their side of the street is like a river.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm on the left side of the road. And so anyway, so somebody was pulling out of this parking lot, and they clipped my back tire because I was moving, because I would go really fast, and they clipped my back tire, and everything rotated. My bike did 180 degrees. From my knee up, I stayed straight, but from my knee down, did 180 degrees.
Oh, geez.
And there was a red light with like a dozen cars that saw it happen. And I'm laying on the ground. He drives off. He's done. He's gone. He's out of there. And somebody rolls down their window and says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I just got hit by a car." And then the light turned green, and everybody just left.
What?
Yeah, they all just drove away. And I was like, I guess I'll call the police.
I thought you were saying this like state you live in is all nice and friendly and everybody's really nice. And I'm like, that sounds like an LA move. Like, light screen.
So the town that I live in now is significantly better than the town that this happened in.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So it's a different city.
Got it.
Anyway, I like the town I'm in now. I don't.
That is brutal.
Oh yeah. So So anyway, but then but recently, so I went to this church activity because I'm in the leadership of this student ward. So there's a bunch of college students that are in this congregation, and we had this like little activity. Everybody's getting vaccinated now, so we can kind of get together. And so they had like a little just backyard barbecue thing, and they had rented. Have you seen those big inflatable balls that you can get inside of?
Yes.
Okay. So they're like the sumo wrestling suits, but a little bit easier because you don't have to put on the suit, slip this ball over. Well, like my family's there, all of these like 22-year-olds are, showing off and doing all this stuff and getting in the ball and rolling down the hill and stuff and whatever. And so Scarlett's like, Dad, get in the ball with me and we'll fight each other. And I was like, just hang tight. Let's let everybody else play. So it kind of died down a little bit. This is Saturday. So this is Saturday that this happened. And so I'm like, okay, there's 3 balls. I get in one, my 11-year-old gets in the other one. And this guy who's at least 12 inches taller than me and definitely has a good 70 pounds on me, he like starts smiling and getting in the 3rd ball. And I was like, all right. so my wife says that I'm very competitive, and she was like, as soon as that guy got in that ball, I knew that you were gonna like just lay him on his back. And she's like, you take everything to like 100 like immediately. Like her apartment complex when we were in college, they tried to start this like prank war with us.
Yes, I've heard the prank war story. This is insane.
It's the same concept where I'm like, I just immediately take it to 11 so it stops. I just want it to stop. I don't want to have the cute, like, I'm going to do a 3 and then you're going to do a 3.5 and then I'm going to do a 4. And then this escalation, I'm the guy that like, it doesn't like slowly escalate. I'm the guy that's just going to like break somebody's knee to end the fight. I'm like not. so anyway, and I think that's from being very small in high school. Like if I were to get in a fight, I would end it like really fast. And so anyway, so this guy he's a very, very large guy compared to me, but I am not athletic now, but I still know how to move my body athletically. So anyway, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to treat this like football drills. And so, I got in there and I got like my dip and rip stance going, and he would come at me and I would just come at him and then I'd lift the ball up because I was underneath him, and I cockroached him like 3 or 4 times, and then Scarlett would come over and I'd like lightly tap her and she'd fall over, and then he'd come anyway. So I did this not very long, just for a couple minutes. I'm just knocking this guy into this wall over and over again, whatever. And nobody knocked me over, and then I was like, okay, everybody got to have their fun. They get to see one of the church leaders like mess around or whatever. So then I took the ball off, and immediately I was out of breath and lightheaded. Like I didn't realize like how much physical exertion I had just done in those few minutes, because I was like sprinting and like full force. And the next day, Sunday and today, like my shoulders and my back and my arms and like all of the old muscle groups from like high school football started coming back. And I was like, oh, I haven't felt those in a long time. That kind of hurts. Anyway, so yeah.
That's definitely something I got to be aware of with biking, because like I said, I just got really stoked on it and was like, this is really fun. So I just kind of zoomed around like maybe a block or 2, probably about a mile or something. And it didn't feel like a mile, it doesn't feel like a mile on a rowing machine, like it just feels like no work. And then when I got back, I was like, whew, like lightheaded and sweaty. I didn't even realize I was sweating when I was out there. Right. And I realized things like bikes are really deceptive for the amount of exertion you're in. So it's like at my age, like I'm going to have to really make sure I bring water, bring a snack, like, cause I definitely am at that age where it's like, I'm not, 20 where I can just bike for like miles on end. because I used to bike from downtown Long Beach to campus. So I don't know what that distance is. It's probably, I'd imagine that's pretty long.
Yeah.
Because it was like by the ocean. I would have. I'm bad with what miles are, but I definitely would say that's like 10 or 15 miles, maybe, or 20 miles. But I definitely would do that like every day to get to school with a portfolio case.
Yeah.
In the snow. No, I'm just and it was raining and things were hard and no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, but like I used to be able to do that and like not suffer the consequences. Now I would definitely have to be careful. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have very little restraint is my problem. Is I just, even at 41, I'm like, I still think very much like a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Physically. And so yeah, it becomes an issue.
Sometimes. But I also don't, I mean, I have had times in my life where I'm like physically competitive, but in general nowadays I'm like, I don't actually enjoy physical competition with other dudes. Like, to me, like if I like, part of why I like a bike or a rowing machine or like these things that I can have at home, it's like I excel when I'm challenging myself. I don't do well with like the jock environment, and I don't mean this as a negative. It's just like that weird environment of like, come on, press more. I'm like, the second I get that kind of nonsense, I'm like out of it. I'm pretty good at doing that for myself, where I'm like, okay, it's time for me to up my weights. Like it's time for me to, but like when I was in the environment of like other dudes like lifting and all this crap, like I that's one of the things that turned me off from exercise in the first place. It was just like, this is a little weird.
I'm not competitive that way.
Yeah.
I don't think competitive is the right thing.
But with like games and stuff, it sounds like more. Yeah.
No, I think it's like physical confrontation. Like I just, like in high school, there's this guy who he went on to play baseball for the Rangers.
Okay.
It's like 6'8". And like he got me in a headlock. Like he walked up. We're in the same basketball team. I'm like 5'5", 5'6". So he's got like more than a foot on me. And he got me in a headlock from behind, and he was just messing around. But my instinct is to like end the confrontation immediately. So like his waist is at my shoulder level. So I like reached around and I like suplexed him. Like I picked him up and put him over my shoulder and like just dropped on my back. And the coach was really mad. He's like, hey, you guys are going to get hurt. Like really what he was mad at is some bench warmer suplexing the star, whatever position he was playing at the time. But
so this is how like unfamiliar I am with any sort of thing. Like first off, I didn't even know what like the name is for like aerobic exercises that don't cause pain to your joints. I have to go the long way around to describe these
cardio.
Things.
Yeah.
Low impact. Yeah. Low impact. I wouldn't have even known that. But then like, I don't even know what a suplex is. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So not only would I just totally lose in a physical confrontation like that, but I would also not even know how I was losing, because I would just be like, I don't understand what this is. And they're like, oh, that's just like a left hook. And I'm like, what's a hook? Like, I still to this day, I think I understand what a hook is. I don't know. Or maybe this whole thing's a feint and I'm really like a drunken master,
Yeah.
Right?
I will say this. I'm not a good fighter. Like I don't get in fights and didn't as a kid.
You're a good ender, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just the very few confrontations that I had, I just ended them quickly because I didn't want to deal with whatever was going on. So
Gary was saying you clearly haven't spent decades playing Street Fighter 2, and that is true. And also Gary said, I need to threaten to eat a bug or something. I only have 66. Dude, we're speaking of subscribers, and it's because Frank was talking about Anna having 101 from his channel, Tarako Creative Cast. Gary needs more subscribers, man. We need to make that happen. So if you guys are watching this afterwards, Gary Hodges, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, go subscribe to his channel. It's good content. It's good stuff. It's a good comic. Anyhow, sorry.
Yeah, I just read the 1997 yesterday again.
What were your thoughts on the second time or third time?
It's good. Yeah, it's incredibly clean line work. I mean, like really crisp, well thought out inks.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. The pacing of the story is interesting too, because it's basically somebody sitting in a room telling a story, but like you jump back and forth, and the action hits really hard when it hits. So I enjoyed it.
Awesome. I definitely feel the same, and I like the pacing because it makes the action really fun. Also, and I do think there's a real strength to like the action sequences just feel really like just a punch, because they're very fast.
There's one shot where like I don't know if I want to give too much away. I do want to cover this on the show at some point, but there's one shot where this dinosaur kind of rips the face of one of the aliens, and then later you see this like drooping, gashed face of this alien, and it was such a fun callback to be like, oh, that guy, he's still around, but he just has this gashing hole in his face now. Anyway, it was a fun comic. I enjoyed it,
dude. Yeah, very, very nice. And yeah, we definitely need to do some friend stuff as well, I think.
I'm thinking I've got Kawagua's Circus on there as well.
Sunless Circus, yeah, dude.
I should probably let you do that one since you've known him longer. But
no, actually, I would love to see you do it because like I almost would find it awesome to hear your take, because I'm really familiar with it.
Right?
It'd be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it either, but
one of the things that I think is going to be really interesting is, and you and I have talked about this, but we haven't really talked to anybody else about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking of changing the format of the show a little bit, and I might try it with a couple of those because, dang it, that's not the right brush. I'm thinking of just focusing in on different. No, that's not it. Sorry, give me this one. Yeah. Focusing on like specific stuff rather than going like page by page, like say this book is really good at X, and then go through one or two examples of that. So it's more of like a lesson on whatever the topic is that I'm covering at the time. So I think it'll take a little bit more prep, but I actually think it'll be a little bit more interesting and less spoilery for the books.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I kind of like that as well. Oh man, so we've been going about an hour. So, how are you feeling?
I'm gonna have to call it pretty soon because I've got 8:00 classes tomorrow. So,
yeah, me too. I've had like a pretty exhaustive day, and then that last bike ride kind of did it for me. So, well, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who showed up in the chats, everyone who watched the indie review show today. It's pretty good work. If you're unfamiliar with Krazy Cat, hopefully it gives a good introduction to it. But Krazy and Ignatz by George Herriman, 1925-26. So Cory and I reviewed that today. So you can check that out on irsagency.com. Cory, where can everybody find snippets of what you're working on, as well as like the latest animation you did with a very spooky astronaut?
Yeah, go check out the astronaut animation. That'll be helpful. leave a comment.
And where would they check that out? Instagram?
Yeah, so if you check that out on Instagram, and you can always just go to corykerr.com, CORYKERR.com for all of your Cory Kerr needs. But yeah, you can specifically head over to Instagram right now, and Gary is doing a surprised face emoji, but I don't know when that showed up. So anyway, but yeah, go check that out. I think that would be awesome, and hopefully you enjoy it. It's just a goofy little no narrative or anything, just kind of a fun little animation. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I am always on joshuacampbell.com. You're on my channel, so please make sure you've hit that subscribe, hit that bell. And if you've already subscribed and you haven't yet subscribed to Gary Hodges, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm gonna make that a goal to mention that every once in a while, because good dude. And then thanks to everybody who showed up in the chats. It's just been great and fun, and it's always fun to like kind of I think these live streams, especially the hangouts, are just like super fun when we have like a full chat and a bunch of cartoonists hanging out, because it just makes it more fun. All right, with that being said, I guess that'll do it, and we will see you guys on the next live stream, or either that or the next indie review show. And then also stay tuned, because this Thursday on Artcasters, we're going to have special guest Jim Lujan on, which should be a really cool thing. And we're going to talk about titling, coming up with titles for work. And he'll probably come up with a better title for that Artcasters, but he's really good at coming up with titles for projects and for animations. And so I think that'll be a really fun, rife topic, which, by the way, Cory, you're always welcome to hop in as well.
Yeah, I like kind of, what do you call it? Crashing? I like crashing when Jim's on.
I think that would be awesome. You should totally crash on Jim's thing. But yeah, so other than that, we will see you guys. I will probably see you guys like tomorrow or whatever, because I'm imagining I'll be doing the live stream, but we'll see. All right. Bye.
See ya.